you want a successful private practice, but it just feels like there's too many barriers or obstacles in your way? Are you longing to be successful, but maybe you think that it's just not in the cards for you? Here's the truth. If you want a successful practice, you can have it. You don't need to already have tons of money to invest or to be a business expert. I started my practice from scratch when I was 27 years old with no formal business training, no caseload, and essentially no money in the bank. Any barrier can be overcome, and God has a solution for every single one of your problems. It's generally our mindset that is holding us back, placing limitations on ourselves and even what God can do. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be helping you tackle those limiting beliefs so you can move forward into the abundant practice that God has for you.
Hey, Christian therapist, are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode.
Welcome back to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. If you've been listening to the show and enjoying it, please do me a favor and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts or give me a rating on Spotify. That's going to help other people find the show and hopefully benefit from it as well. Today, we're going to be talking about limiting mindsets and beliefs. This has been something that the Lord's putting on my heart a lot recently as I've been having conversations with other therapists who are trying to grow their practice or trying to get their practice off the ground. I've been hearing so many statements like, I can't do that, or that never works for me, or if only I had the money to do this. And I think a lot of times our limiting beliefs, we're not even fully conscious of them. But what limiting beliefs do is they end up holding us back. There is usually a way forward. There is a way around every barrier or obstacle. But if we are believing that there's no way around it, we're not even going to look for solutions. And what I really want to focus on is just remembering who we are as sons and daughters of God and who our Father in heaven is. So while there might be things that seem impossible for us as humans, nothing is impossible with God. Any limitation that we have, any barrier, any problem, that is not something that is too big for God to overcome. So when we recognize what our limiting beliefs are and then invite God's perspective in, that's when we're able to break off those limitations and really move forward. For years, I had the desire to write a book. I really thought it'd be so awesome to be a published author, but I'd have these constant thoughts like, I can't write a book. I don't have anything good to write about. And even if I did, who's going to read it? Plus, I know nothing about how to get a book published. But then I started to look around and realize that tons of people write books every single year. If they can do it, then why can't I? I continuously felt the urge from the Lord to write. And I realized that if He's calling me to write, that He's given me things that are worth writing about. I also recognize that if other people who aren't writers and authors for a living could figure out how to publish a book, then surely I could as well. So I actually just published my first book earlier this year. But had I continued to operate with those limiting beliefs, I never would have published a book. So I'm hoping that today's episode will help you really identify where you might be struggling with limiting beliefs or mindsets, and then to create a plan to take those thoughts captive, surrender them to the Lord, and just invite in His truth and the truth of who He is, and see how that shifts things for you. So I want you to start with just getting out a piece of paper or a notebook and writing down all the things that you can think of where you feel like you can't do it in your practice. This could be in terms of when you want to see clients, how much you charge clients, what types of clients you want to see. Do you think it's impossible for you to get cash pay clients or clients who, if they are cash pay, are actually paying a decent rate? Do you think it's impossible or nearly impossible to see clients within normal business hours or school hours because you don't want to work evenings or weekends? Do you think it's impossible to have a successful practice basically when you have no money in the bank and you don't have 12 months of expenses saved up? A lot of times I see limiting mindsets in the area of knowledge or our capabilities as therapists or business people. So take some time and think about, where do you feel like you don't know enough in order to be a good therapist in private practice? Is it with your clinical abilities? Is it with your business skills? If you're still feeling stuck with identifying where you might be holding yourself back, take some time with the Lord this week and really have Him shine some light on your limiting beliefs that you're holding. When we have limiting beliefs, it actually prevents God from being able to work through us and to bring us the good things that are available to us. We see in the New Testament where Jesus was unable to perform miracles in his hometown because the people's lack of faith. So when we have a lack of faith, it actually prevents God from being able to give us the blessings that he does have in store for us. And that's why it's so important to be aware of what areas we have limitations in our beliefs and where we have actually limited God from being able to move in our lives and in our businesses because we don't think it's possible for us. And a lot of times it doesn't mean that we don't believe God can do it, but there's a lack of belief that God actually wants to do things for us in our business. Limiting beliefs often either show up in a victim mindset or a realistic mindset. So, first of all, let's talk about a victim mindset. And most of us as therapists probably know what that is, but that's when we're basically saying, poor me, this is just what happens to me. It's my lot in life. I've never been able to be successful. Everyone else gets the good breaks, and I never do. As sons and daughters of God, we are not victims. We can be empowered no matter what challenges have come in front of us. So if you have a sense of, this just never pans out for me, take that before the Lord and exchange that victim mindset for a victorious mindset. And then let's talk about a realistic mindset, because I think this one is harder to sometimes identify as a problem because it often masquerades as wisdom. So, well, it's just not realistic to believe that I could have a full practice within the next 3 months or 2 months. It's not realistic for me to believe that I am going to be successful in my business. We base reality based on our past experiences or what we observe in the world around us. And while sometimes there is wisdom in that, a lot of times it actually causes us to settle from allowing a miraculous God to do his work. So I'm not saying that just because we have faith for God to do miracles in our business doesn't mean that he will always carry them out in the timeline that we would like him to or in the way that we would envision. However, we do need to remember that we serve a miraculous God, a God who is fully capable of performing miracles and who loves to perform miracles for his beloved. So we need to give him that opportunity and invite him in to do miraculous things in our business and through our work as therapists. So I want to encourage you to drop the realistic language, dream big, cast a big vision for your practice. Know that that is possible with God involved, then continue to do the work and have the discipline to allow God to show up in miraculous ways, even when the miracles are delayed. So, as you've been thinking a little bit about looking at your private practice and the obstacles and challenges with God involved, take a look again at your list. Where have you been telling yourself that I can't, or I don't know enough, or it's just not possible for me? Matthew 19:26 says, with God, all things are possible. So, next, I want you to take some time just to do a little bit of dreaming. Think about, in a perfect world, if you literally had no limitations, what is your vision for your therapy practice? How many clients would you see? What fee would you be collecting? What hours of the day would you be working? What types of clients would you be serving? Would you do anything else like intensives or retreats? Would you create an online course? What are your dreams for your practice? Would you want in person office space? And if so, what would that look like? How many offices would you have? How would you decorate it? Just allow yourself to dream with God, and with Him, there are no limitations. Now, most likely, whatever you're envisioning, you probably won't be able to have it all put in place by tomorrow. There's probably still a lot of building and growing and learning to do, and that's okay. But once you have that vision, take some time and write down what you believe is possible just by human standards. What is it that you can do physically now to get you closer to that vision where you have faith even without God getting supernaturally involved? If you dream of having your own office space, is that something where you can make some steps forward, even if it's not leasing a full time, perfect, beautiful space right now? Could you think about subletting to get you out of your home office and actually be able to see clients in person? And then what parts of your vision actually do feel like they need God to do a miracle? If you're envisioning yourself running these amazing retreats in Peru, that might be something that feels a little far out there. Okay, God, it's possible because other human beings on this earth have conducted these amazing, luxurious retreats and received payment for it. So if it's possible for other people, can I believe that you can do that for me? And even if I have a vision that is so big that I don't know if it's ever been done on this earth, we are partnered with a God of miracles who has no limitations. So if he's put things like that on your heart, invite him in, pray into that. And if that's something that he has for you, he's going to give you what you need to fulfill it in the right time. I've done this exercise for myself in the past where I started with all the barriers that I saw to private practice and then categorizing it between what do I believe is actually humanly possible just with Kimberly? And then where do I need God to do something supernatural? I was surprised at how many things were on my list of barriers that I was like, hey, I actually could take some steps forward with that. That's not that hard. That's not impossible. I had a lot of hangups, particularly around finances. At the time, I was single. I was living in Los Angeles, which is a very high cost of living. I was my sole source of income. It all depended on me if I was going to be able to pay my bills or to go to the grocery store and feed myself. So I was really operating out of a lack mindset or a poverty mindset, but it felt like I was just being responsible. I had a responsibility to make sure that I wasn't overspending. But I remember feeling this prompting from the Holy Spirit where he basically asked me, Kimberly, if you had all of the resources and no financial shortage whatsoever, you had all the funding for your private practice, what is it that you would want to do? And the things that started coming to mind were not astronomical or unaffordable financially. They were simple things, such as, oh, I'd probably invest in an EHR so I don't have to keep taking paper notes. And I realized I had enough money to invest in that. And I also had the courage. It didn't feel that risky to invest in something like that. So I was able to start making some forward movements, even if they felt small. And even if it wasn't taking this gigantic leap to now I have my own office space that I get to decorate, and I have multiple offices for all my therapists that are going to be working with me. But I think this exercise can be so good in just helping us recognize where God has already given us the ability to take some steps forward and where we do have the courage to take steps that might feel a little bit risky in order to pursue that vision that He has given us. And I also just feel led to encourage those of you who are listening, don't always listen to the limiting beliefs that others may have placed on you or placed on themselves and are projecting on you. So if you've had people tell you you can't be successful in private practice unless you work weekends after school hours, unless you take insurance, unless whatever it is, bring those comments to the Lord and ask Him if it's impossible for Him. And yes, I think we have to be malleable in what our vision is for private practice. We have to be open handed with that and surrender that to the Lord and say, God, this is what I dream and envision for my private practice. Can you please come in and shape and form and confirm what is from you and of you and wash away anything that is not what you have for me? And He'll do that for you. But we do need to hold on to those dreams that He's given us, even though sometimes we question, like, is this just a selfish desire? Is this just a wish I have in my heart? One time within the past year and a half or so, I was going on a drive and I heard God say, Kimberly, if you say yes to dreaming, I'll say yes to your dreams. And that came out of nowhere. I wasn't even really in this deep prayer at all, but that has stuck with me for so long. And I believe we have a responsibility as believers to dream big because that allows God to show up and do miraculous things that if we didn't take the time to think about them, could never have a chance of being put into place. So please take some time this week, sit before the Lord, let Him reveal whatever limitations are coming up in your mind that are holding you back from moving forward in private practice. And you might come to recognize, hey, I can already take some steps forward. And then there's also probably going to be some areas where you have needs that haven't been fulfilled yet. Start praying where you have areas of need. Those can be your prayer requests. God, I trust that you can do it and that you want to do it. So here's my need. I'm going to look for you to fulfill it. So I'm hoping that this episode resonated with some of you out there who are listening, who have just been kind of bogged down with all of these I can't statements or feeling stuck, feeling disempowered. And just remember, you have a God who is a supernatural God. He can work miracles. There are no limitations in him, and we have access to him at any time as believers. Thank you so much for listening today. If you're feeling like you would benefit from some one to one support and guidance in helping you identify your limiting beliefs and really recognizing what it is that God has in store for you, what his vision is for your private practice, I offer one to one coaching and mentoring sessions. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'll leave my contact information in the description below. I would love and welcome any feedback that any of you have. If you have comments on the episode, if you found something super helpful, if you have more questions, feel free to contact me as well. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community. And once again, if you have the time and you're liking this show, please make sure that you follow, leave a review. I would really appreciate it. Want to make sure you never miss an episode and have access to all my free resources and special offers? Sign up today to become a Prosperous Christian Therapist Insider. You'll get a weekly newsletter with faith-led encouragement, the latest podcast episode, and special early bird access to any of my latest offers. Sign up using the link in the show description below.